I'm Stephanie, 32, and I'm still reeling from what happened at this year's Christmas Eve party. Standing in the middle of the room, facing my mother, I watched as her carefully laid out plan to humiliate me crumbled right before her eyes. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated victory, but also a long, awaited reckoning. Growing up in a wealthy family in Boston, I was the daughter of Eleanor and Henry Thompson. Eleanor was a high society woman, always concerned with appearances, status, and the perfect image of our family. Henry, on the other hand, was a successful lawyer, but he was often overshadowed by my mother's strong personality. My older sister, Victoria, was 35, and she was the apple of my mother's eye. She followed the traditional path, became a doctor, married a well-to-do businessman named Richard, and had two lovely daughters, Ava, 6, and Mia, 4. I, however, was the black sheep. I always had a passion for fashion. While Victoria was studying for her medical exams, I was in my room, sketching designs and dreaming of creating my own clothing line. When I announced my intention to study fashion design at the Rhode Island School of Design, my mother was appalled. "Fashion is a frivolous pursuit," she would say. "You need a real career, something that will bring honor to the family." But I was determined. With the secret support of my father, who gave me some money for my first apartment near the campus, I moved to Providence. The first few years were tough. I worked part-time jobs, from serving coffee to assisting at a local boutique, while studying long hours. After graduation, I interned at several well-known fashion houses in New York. Slowly, my brand, Stephanie Thompson Designs, started to gain recognition for its innovative and sustainable designs. 2 years ago, I got my big break. My designs were featured in a prominent fashion magazine. It was a huge validation of all my hard work, but when I sent the magazine to my parents, I never heard a word from them. This December, my father called me. "Stephanie, your mother misses you. We all do. Please come home for Christmas," he pleaded. I was hesitant. Work was busy, and I knew going back meant facing my mother's criticism again. But I missed my nieces, and I could hear the longing in my father's voice. So I agreed. As I drove up to our mansion in Boston, a sense of dread washed over me. The house was decked out in the most elaborate Christmas decorations, just like always. When I walked in, my father greeted me with a warm hug, but my mother's first words were, "You could have dressed better for the holidays." Over the next few days, I noticed strange things. My mother kept steering the conversation towards my early fashion designs, which were, of course, far from perfect. She also mentioned that an old family friend, Alexander, who is now a big shot in the business world, would be coming to the Christmas Eve party. I had dated Alexander briefly in college, and our relationship ended badly when he mocked my career choice. One morning, as I was walking downstairs in my pajamas, I overheard my mother and her sister, Aunt Grace, talking in the study. "This party is the perfect chance to show her how far off base she is with this fashion nonsense," my mother said. "I've got her old portfolio. Everyone will see how unskilled she was in the beginning. And I'll give the family heirloom, the diamond brooch, to Victoria. It's obvious she's the one who has brought pride to the family." I was devastated. My own mother was planning to publicly humiliate me, but instead of running away, a fire ignited within me. I decided to fight back. I reached out to my old friend, Lily, who owned a small boutique in Boston. I explained the situation to her, and she was more than willing to help. I called my assistant in New York and had her overnight some of my latest designs, along with all the press materials and customer testimonials. I also started gathering information about the party guests. My father, when I asked him casually, told me about some important business people who would be there, and I knew I could use this to my advantage. On the day of the party, I chose a stunning red dress from my latest collection. When I walked downstairs, my father's eyes lit up with pride, and even Victoria gave me an approving look. My mother, however, tried to hide her surprise. The party started, and guests arrived one by one. Alexander showed up, and he tried to be condescending, but I brushed him off. As the night went on, I could sense my mother getting more and more eager to make her announcement. At 10 p.m., my mother tapped a glass and called for everyone's attention. Family and friends, she began. Family legacy is very important to me. Some paths bring honor, and some are just self-indulgent. She then reached for my old portfolio. Before she could open it, I stepped forward. Actually, Mother, I said, my voice steady, I'd love to show everyone my work. All of it. I thanked her for setting high standards, which had made me persistent. Then, Lily stepped forward with the portfolio of my current work. For those who don't know, Lily said, Stephanie's designs have been praised by industry leaders, and she's just signed a major deal with a well-known department store. Murmurs of approval filled the room. I continued, I'm also excited to announce that I'll be opening a satellite studio here in Boston, bringing jobs and a piece of my New York success back home. My mother's face turned pale. I then turned to Alexander. Thank you for your past concern about my career. My business grossed over $800,000 this year, with projections to reach $1 million next year. I walked up to my mother. The portfolio you're holding shows where I started, not where I am now. I just needed you to accept my choices. For a moment, she looked like she was about to lash out, but then her eyes welled up with tears. Victoria stepped forward and said, Mom, the diamond brooch should go to Stephanie. She's the one who followed her passion and succeeded. My father saved the moment by proposing a toast. To both our daughters, successful in their own ways, and to new beginnings. After the party, when my mother and I were alone in the kitchen, she asked, Why didn't you tell me about your success? I replied, I sent you the magazine, but you never mentioned it. She admitted that she had always wanted to be a designer, but her parents had stopped her. When you showed interest in fashion, it brought up all my old wounds, she said. She took out the diamond brooch and placed it in my hand. This should have been yours. I'm sorry I couldn't see your talent earlier. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a start. Christmas Day was different. There was a lighter atmosphere in the house. The giving was filled with warmth. I gave my mother a silk scarf that I had designed especially for her, and she wore it all day. As I packed my bags to return to New York, my mother came to my room. When will you be back? She asked. For the studio opening, probably in March, I replied. If you need any help with finding a location, I know some people, she said. It was her way of reaching out, and I was grateful. Driving away from the house, I felt a sense of relief. My relationship with my mother would always be complex, but this Christmas had shown me that standing up for myself could lead to new possibilities, even within a family. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who didn't believe in you? Share your stories in the comments. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with those who need to hear that they should be proud of their own paths. Remember, the most important approval is your own.